Hello, this is Dr. Drew Taft at Foot and Ankle Associates of Southern New Hampshire, and we're back for another video. We hit on the last video what hammertoe is, how do we identify them. So now I'm going to talk a little bit about what actually causes a hammertoe. So majority of the time, hammertoes are developing or develop as a result of just the mechanics of your foot type. So they're typically not something you're born with, but what you are born with is a foot type. And certain foot types predispose you to certain conditions, and hammertoes can be one of them. So when you think about your foot, and here's my trusty model again, when you think about the foot, you've got muscles and tendons and ligaments that run across the top of the foot attached to the top of the toes. And you've got muscles and tendons and ligaments that run upon the bottom of the foot and attached to the bottom of the foot into the toes. All right, so in a perfect world, again, those muscles and tendons on the top and the muscles and tendons on the bottom should be in equilibrium. There should be equal pull to keep the toes straight. But what often happens is that there's an unequal pull that starts to develop, and that unequal pull can then start to cause the toes to either contract up this way, or the tendons underneath can pull harder, which pulls the toes downwards. But it's basically an unequal pull that develops that causes the toes now to start to contract at one of the joints or multiple joints. And again, that's largely happening because of a particular foot type. So sometimes, you might have an unequal pull because you're flat-footed or pronated. You might have an unequal pull because you have a really high-arched foot. Anything like that can put those tendons at a disadvantage, which can cause those contractures to take place. The whole idea about shoe gear and causing hammertoes, which is often believed to be the case, isn't typically the cause. Generally, I tell patients that they can accelerate a hammertoe process. So if you were already kind of going down that road, and for your profession you had to wear a particular shoe all the time that was either very narrow or shallow, and it caused those toes to kind of scrunch up, that could certainly lead you down that path faster. But I wouldn't say that it's generally the overall cause as to how these develop. But again, it's something that you're typically developing over time. Aren't too many things that you can do to prevent it. You try to accommodate it as best as you can, but we'll go into more of our treatments for hammertoes. But in general, that's what causes them. And again, we're gonna circle back and talk a little bit about how we treat these. Appreciate you tuning in, and we'll talk soon. Thanks again.